Hi guys, it's Molly with Soul School Tarot and Astrology, and today I have for you your Astro Forecast, intuitive messages, and a short lesson on astrology, if that's the kind of thing that you're into. What I want to talk about today is actually something that I've been referencing in a lot of my past readings. Pardon my table, it's a little wobbly. On January 12th, we are going to have a meetup of two really significant, pretty major players in the solar system, Saturn and Pluto. Okay, they're going to be in conjunction, which means they're going to be in the exact same spot in our little wheel chart in the sky. And that's going to have a really significant impact on all of us. Okay. So if you have never, if you're new here, hi, welcome. Thank you for being here. Or if you typically, skip the astro forecast and go right to the readings, I am going to do a follow-up reading and all signs bonus reading, but separate video. Today we're talking about the planets. Okay. But if you've never tuned into an astro forecast before, I want to go ahead and talk about what is the purpose of an astro forecast. All right. I'm going to be talking about the planetary energies, what's at work in the sky right now. This is transit astrology. You don't necessarily need to know anything about your own personal astrology in order to benefit from the message in transit astrology. Okay. So these are energies that we're all going through. All right. And my purpose, and it's the same with all of my readings and everything that I do, is to kind of focus on how we can empower ourselves to move through these energies in a way that will lead us to our highest good. Okay, so it's all about empowerment. If you're the kind of person who looks at astrology as those things about yourself that you can't help, this is not the channel for you. All right. I actually kind of I've got all these notes and everything, and I don't want to skip around too much. I'm trying to be very organized with this message. But your birth chart is essentially a map of the tools that you have been given in order to be able to learn the karmic lessons that you need to confront in this lifetime. Okay, and I'm going to talk a lot about karmic lessons in this video today, just kind of share my perspective on that. Okay, so basically these are opportunities for your growth, not excuses for your lack of growth. Okay, so Soul School is definitely for those of us who are being very mindful about our path, being very mindful about our ascension, about becoming just the best selves that we can be so that we can create the best reality for ourselves that we're capable of doing. Okay, so that's me. I'm all about empowerment, all about healing. Okay, so there's a lot of that coming up in this astro forecast, but the thing is, it doesn't mean anything to you if you're not willing to do the work. Okay, so Saturn is all about karma and Pluto is all about the subconscious. So those are the messages that I'm going to be talking about today in this astro forecast. And if either of those words make you uncomfortable, go ahead and skip to the tarot reading. Okay, I don't know how much you'll benefit if you're not open to those messages, but I was actually having a conversation with somebody last night, and they're like, whoa, that's these, there's some pretty heavy messages that come through sometimes with these readings and these astro forecasts. But when you learn to lift something heavy, you gain strength. Okay, so that's what we're doing. Okay, if you're not willing to do the work, none of this is going to make any sense to you. But if you're being mindful about your path and mindful about yourself and trying to release yourself from karmic cycles, tune in, because that's what I'm trying to get to today. All right, so yeah, let's talk about this. Saturn and Pluto are both very slow-moving planets. So while their official meetup is on January 12th, and they're in Capricorn, by the way. While their official meetup is on January 12th, this energy has been building. Like if I just look at the time span in which they were just 4 degrees apart from one another, okay? They were approaching one another. Imagine, especially with these slow-moving planets, imagine You remember in science class, they had those little round magnets, and you bring the magnets really, really, really close. They don't even have to touch each other. They just get really close to each other, and then zoop, there they are. They are combined. They are one now. All right. So these two planets have essentially been in a conference with one another since about mid-November. And this energy is going to last until about early March. Okay. All right. They're very slow moving planets. And I want to talk a little bit about what these planetary archetypes are. To me, planetary archetypes is just the key to understanding astrology and how you can use it to navigate your life. Okay. Nonetheless, we're going to talk about these planetary archetypes. But first, I want to talk about karma and karmic cycles and what that means to me. Okay, that's going to help contextualize the message that I have about these two homies sitting down at the conference table behind our backs, because what they're talking about right now is the next cycle of karmic lessons that each of us is going to be going through. And I want to get you a seat at that table. Okay, I'm going to get you a seat at that table, not just to be able to understand the conversation that's going on between these two planets and the kind of decisions that are going to be made in this cycle, but how you can enter into negotiations and keep yourself essentially from repeating old karmic cycles. Okay, things that you have learned and are ready to release. Okay, the universe is going to be testing you, by the way. All right. Kind of pushing some buttons to see how much you have changed. Not just how much have you learned your lessons, but are you living your lessons in your life? Okay, so this is what's going on. Let me talk about karma. All right. I talk a lot about closing out karmic cycles in my readings, about how certain things are just part of karmic cycles. I feel like in the collective energy over the last few months, there's been this tremendous shift towards closing out long-standing karmic cycles. Okay, so a way that I've described that in the past is that closing out a karmic cycle means that you've come to understand the subconscious motivations for certain behaviors, patterns, relationships, attitudes that are actually not in alignment with our higher self. Okay, they're not in alignment with our higher self. They're not supportive of our success, of our evolution, of our ascension. Okay, so the subconscious is a very, very, very important thing to understand if you want to be conscious of your karmic cycles. Okay, that subconscious, that whole realm is Pluto. All right, the sort of the karma police, the planet who's in charge of making sure that you're in line, that you are lined up to have the proper experiences to help you learn and master the next karmic cycle, or the ones that you're in right now, that's Saturn. Okay, so that's what these two planets are talking about. All right, so let's talk about karma. Karma is something that you're born with. I don't believe that karma is something like, oh, you cut somebody off on the freeway and now a bird's gonna poop on your car. Okay, that's petty. Yes, the universe, I believe, does work in ways like that, but karma on a grander scale is essentially, it is something that we're born with. Okay, and how we interact with these lessons, how we interact with our own karma, can to a large extent determine the struggles that we face in life. Okay, struggles are, well, struggle is not inevitable. Struggle is the experience that we have when we try to fight against learning these lessons, changing, moving forward. Okay, my cats are wrestling and they might make weird noises, so please ignore them. You guys, be nice, please. Thank you. Okay, so karma is something that I believe that we're born into. I actually believe that it is a result of the free will of our higher selves. Okay, you didn't agree to this. You in your human consciousness did not agree. You did not sign up for your karma, but your higher self did. I believe in between lifetimes. Okay, It's just, I want to let you know the background of where this is coming from, okay? So we have past lives, present lives, future lives. One way of seeing that is that they're actually all happening at the same time, but our soul needs to evolve, okay? That's what everything does. Everything evolves and changes and grows, okay? So in the evolution of our soul, we come here on earth, and we're these human beings, and we got these things called egos, and we got these things called subconscious, and we have these things called hearts, and these things called minds. And these are the tools that we're given to navigate through the lessons in this lifetime, okay? These are lessons that must be learned, experiences that must be felt, perspectives that must be gained. In my mind, I personally believe in order to just fully understand the human experience, okay? It's our key to understanding consciousness and our soul, all right? This is the set of restrictions that we've been given here as humans on Earth, okay? There's a tremendous number of restrictions that we've been given, but these restrictions can be seen as tools, okay? And in fact, that's how I want us to view Saturn, because Saturn is all about restrictions and limitations, okay? Saturn is the reason we're in this human body, okay? Jupiter is kind of the good cop of the karma police. He wants to like shower you with blessings, etc., etc. I'll get there in a minute, okay? So nonetheless, these are perspectives that must be gained. But I do believe that these are things that we decided for ourselves, our higher selves decided that we needed in this lifetime. And that's where the concept of soul contracts comes through, okay? There are certain people who are meant to help you learn these lessons. And for a lot of us, those, you sign a contract with them. Okay, all right, guys, I'll see you in the next lifetime. And we're going to help each other out in this way. We're going to trigger certain things in one another so that we can learn certain lessons. And soul contracts aren't just with other people. They can be with roles, jobs, locations, lifestyles, friends, family members. We got a lot of soul contracts with our family members. We have soul contracts with our ancestors. We have soul contracts with our past selves. Wrap your mind around that. Okay. We have soul contracts with our future selves. All right. So these are all things that are, of course, negotiated sort of in the other realm between lifetimes. They're not something that we have direct access to. We cannot really manipulate them in this lifetime. Okay. But some of these tools that we've been given are our understanding of the planets and the planetary energies and how and when these energies are going to flow through us. Okay. We also have, connection to our higher self, okay? Connection to the boss, so to speak, the person who signed these papers, got us into this contract, okay? You can go back to the higher source and communicate and understand, okay? You can listen to your guides. You can call upon the protection of angels. There's so many resources to you once you begin to tap into your spirituality. You begin to embrace your awakening. You begin to accept that divinity does reside within you. This is what helps you these are tools that you have available to you to help you navigate your own individual karma in the world. Now, we're all signed up for some collective karma too. That's just facts. But today I specifically want to talk about our individual karma and our karmic cycles, okay? So, only 13 minutes, you guys. I had all this information. I thought it was going to take hours. I thought it was going to just ramble on for hours. So I have a singular amount of focus right now, and I'm grateful for that. All right, so karmic cycles are these experiences that are brought to you, okay? And they've got the lessons that have to be learned, okay? The karmic cycle is just sort of the vehicle for learning these lessons, okay? And they're going to keep coming up to you. The universe is going to bring them to you. Your guides, your angels, everything else, they're going to keep bringing them up to you again and again and again. Not just until you learn up here, but you've got to begin to live this new truth, okay? That's what it means to learn your karmic lesson, to close out a karmic cycle. You're now able to walk a completely new path because you've shed that old pattern, habit, role, relationship, etc., that was not in alignment with where you're going. It might have been fine for you in the past, but it's not where you're going. Okay? If you're trying to be conscious, mindful about your path, you got to know not everything gets to come with you. That's the best part. You get to leave a lot of things behind. Okay? So, nonetheless, it's about learning them and living them. Okay? And you guys can look back over your life and think of certain, like, look at relationship patterns that you've had. Okay? The way that relationships have played out for you again and again and again and again. And it feels like it's not your fault. It feels like this just keeps happening to you. But the truth is, the universe keeps handing that to you because there's a different way you're supposed to handle it. There's you taking the same old shit and handling it in a brand new way with a brand new self. That's how you get to close these things out. That's how you get to leave them behind. Okay? So, yeah. So these are opportunities that are given to us. And if we don't change the way that we approach these, if we don't learn our lessons, we're just going to keep getting the same thing again and again and again. Okay? We keep attracting that to us because it's a lesson that we need to learn in order for our soul's evolution. Okay? We're naturally tending towards that. Once you get on the path of mindfulness, you're just naturally being drawn towards that. Okay? Okay, so like I said, Saturn is the administrator of these karmic cycles. It is the responsible party. All right, Jupiter sort of runs the blessings department. Okay, karmic blessings. Once you learn and you master these cycles, the universe wants to come in and bless you with new abundance, prosperity, love, opportunities, and not just opportunities to learn lessons, but like opportunities to thrive. Okay, Jupiter wants you to thrive. Saturn wants to make sure that you know how to survive. It rhymes. I like it. Okay. So now I have to talk to you a little bit about the planets as a whole. Okay. We're going to talk about all the planets that come up in astrology, but I want you to throw away the sun and the moon. Okay. Sun and the moon represent your inner self and your outer self. Okay. The sun itself represents the world around you, and the moon represents the world within you. Okay. But I'm going to talk about some other planets real quick, okay? So, you take those two out. What we've got are the inner planets, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, okay? And Jupiter and Saturn are the karmic planets. They are in the center of the other planets. Take out the sun, take out the moon, okay? You got karma planets right in the middle, all right? So, on one side, you've got Mercury, Venus, and Mars. And on the other side, the outer side of Saturn and Jupiter, you have Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. And here's what's kind of cool. These are like the little siblings and these are the big siblings, okay? It's like Mercury is the representation of the mind here in the 3D world, okay? In our relationships to the world around us, okay? Uranus represents the mind when it comes to the collective consciousness and when it comes to the world within us, essentially. Okay? Same with Venus. Venus has to do with love and value between us and the world around us. Whereas Neptune takes that same energy and elevates it to this soul consciousness level and has to do with collective love and universal love and conscious love. Okay? Soul consciousness. All right? Mars, here on the planet, Mars has to do with our energy, our desire, and our drive. Here on the planet, what is it we're working for? How do we attain the things we desire? Where do we put our energy? Okay? Where do we put our drive? Okay? Pluto is that higher evolution of desire, but here's the thing. It represents the subconscious, which is ultimately the reason why you desire the things that you desire. It's the reasoning behind your Mars. Just like your Neptune is the reasoning behind your Venus, and Uranus is the reasoning behind your Mercury. They are the higher, okay. God, I don't want to go all into that. Okay. They want me to talk about transcendental dualism. That's not a small thing, okay? This idea that Plato put forth, okay? And actually the more that I look at the planets like this, the more I kind of agree with this philosophy. I rejected it for a very long time. I was just really, really highly critical of transcendental dualism. But the more that I explore, the more that I lean into my awakening, if you will, the more I think that it has value. But his idea is like, look, we've got all these material objects in the world right here, but that's not ultimately what's important. In fact, this philosophy was sewn into Christianity by St. Augustine and a lot of other Neoplatonics. But if it sounds like Christianity, it fueled, it laid the foundation for Christianity, okay? So Plato came up with this. And so what he says is that you got all these things around us, okay? Let's say you got a pretty flower or pretty girl or something that's just anything that's beautiful. It's a mountain. It's a color. It's just something that's beautiful here in the 3D world. But that's not what's really important, because what's really going on is somewhere else up here outside of us in the immaterial plane. There is this concept of beauty that is perfect and eternal. And these things here on earth are flawed, impermanent, just they're reflections of that higher truth called beauty. But they're imperfect because they're bound to this material world. Okay? So this is the realm of the forms out there. This idea where perfect things like love and truth and beauty and good exist. And we're just trying to schlep our way through this world down here, where we're only participating with reflections of those eternal truths. God, the more I talk about it, you guys... Okay. Why did I rejected Plato a long time ago? I thought this was all a bunch of BS. But the more that I revisit it, the more I think that there's so much to be learned from this. But nonetheless, okay, let's do. All right, I'm just listening to my guides right now. We're also going to do the allegory of the cave, okay? You're absolutely right. This is perfect for the Saturn-Pluto conjunction. This is not in my notes, okay? But I used to teach a history of Western thought class up at the local university. So let me get back into that groove for a minute, okay? In the Republic, the question is posed, who are the best people to lead society? And Plato's like, dude, we got to get these people who understand the realm of the forms, because not everybody gets that stuff. But everybody, we need the people who are going to rule the perfect society are these philosopher kings and queens, I will state. And what's cool and special about these people, okay, these philosopher kings, is they understand the realm of the forms. They understand the ideal, the perfect good and truth and beauty and love. They understand these things and therefore are compelled to act in alignment with those higher truths, okay? Kind of a theocracy when you think about it, like a philosophical theocracy. Is that possible? Okay? Anyways, nonetheless. And other people are like, well, I don't know. I kind of know what you mean, but like kind of sort of not what you mean. And he's like, here's the thing, you guys. These are not the people that we would naturally select as our leaders, because here's the thing. We're stuck down here in this 3D world. And he compared the 3D world, people who are only aware of these earthly truths. That instance isn't good right there. He likened that as being chained in a cave. Okay. You're down in a cave and there is a fire behind you, okay? You're just You're chained in a way that you're looking at this cave wall in front of you. And there's a bunch of other people down there. You guys can talk about what's on the cave wall, but you can't see the things that are casting the shadows on the cave wall. Because behind you, there's a fire. And on the other side of the fire, there's the entryway to the cave. And the things outside of the cave, aka the true forms, truth and beauty and things like that, they dance across the opening of the cave and they cast shadows on the wall of the cave that's before us. And we give it names, but we don't understand. Like in our mind, those shadows are the thing that's real. Okay? To the average person, those shadows on the wall is the only way. Like imagine you've got like a cat comes across that space. They just see the shadow of the cat and they're like, oh, look at the cat. That's what a cat is. And then one day somebody comes along and they're like, whoa, 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 hey, I didn't realize these chains are so loose. I'm going to get out of the cave. I'm going to go to the outside of the cave. And oh my God, that's what a real cat looks like. And they run back in and they try to tell their friends, you guys, that's not really a cat. This is really what a cat is. A cat is not, it has more dimensions to it. And the people are like, okay, yeah, whatever, Steve. Okay. So he's like, that's the thing. Steve and the other guys who got out of their chains, they go outside of the cave. They go in search of the real higher realm of the truth. And then their job is to come back in and try to communicate that to the people who are still chained in the 3D world. Okay. But anyways, this allegory of the cave, this is essentially an allegory for ascension. Okay. When you unchain yourself from the role that's been prescribed to you and you go explore the outside of the cave, you're going to find truths that are just more accurate. Okay. All right. That was a huge tangent, but my guides really wanted me to go on it. Okay. So that's in Plato's mind, those people outside the cave, they're the ones who should be ruling society. Okay. It's a Marvel idea. Okay, but so anyways, all right, I'm going to get back to the planets. Okay. Mercury, Venus, and Mars are representation of these energies inside the cave. Whereas once you take yourself outside the cave, your Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are how you're going to interact with that higher consciousness. Okay? All right? So the world around you is the cave. And essentially what's kind of ironic is that it's the world within you. Going within is how you get out of the cave. Okay? Going within you is actually how you get out of the cave. Okay, so Mercury, Venus, and Mars. Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Okay, so those inner planets, when there's major conjunctions going on there, major transits, major aspects, stuff going on in astrology there, hey, Fred, stop it. That's going to affect your 3D world, the things going on around you. Whereas it's on the soul level and the spiritual level and the way world in here level that we're going to experience the karmic planets, conjunctions and transits, conjunctions, trines, oppositions, all that good stuff, to these outer planets. We're going to feel that at the soul level. So, long story short, Saturn is the administrator of the Karmic Lessons Division of Soul Evolution Incorporated. Pluto rules your subconscious. And these two planets are sitting down at the conference table right now discussing your next phase of karmic cycles based on what's going on in your subconscious. So if you're not already in the habit of trying to tap into your subconscious and move things around in there, that's what I want to have you guys feel prepared and empowered to do. Okay? Because breaking these subconscious patterns, like in Pluto, that's the key to how you get out of these karmic cycles. All right. So I'm going to get you a seat at that conference table, okay? Because here is the topic of this summit is Capricorn. It's Capricorn. It's happening in the 22nd degree of Capricorn, okay? What part of your life are they talking about? Well, you have to go look at you do have to look at your own personal astrology for that. What house is this energy in? It's in my first house. So for me, they're sitting down at the table talking about my self-image, okay? My concept of myself in the world. What I am, who I am, what I desire, what I'm going after. Okay, so you better believe I'm going to be sitting at that table, okay? At the head of it. I brought a PowerPoint presentation, if you don't mind. Okay, so in your chart, it might be in the 4th house, which has to do with home. It might be in the 7th house, which has to do with partnerships, okay? What area of your life is this conversation between Saturn and Pluto going to affect? That's in your own personal chart, okay? So you're going to have to look. By the way, if any of y'all try to ask me about your planets, I use equal house system. It's not the main default. Modern times, it's not the main. On the web, it's not the main default. It's not the default, okay? Most places where you go online to get your chart made, you need to change the house setting to equal. But that's what makes sense to me. Maybe I'll talk about it in another chart, okay? But in my mind, every single house in your chart deserves all 30 degrees. Some don't get more and some don't get less. That's like taking a feng shui chart and saying, oh, you know what? The part of your bedroom that has to do with finances, it's like actually 3 times bigger than the other parts. No, equal house system all the way. Pardon me, that's a tangent, okay? So anyways, if you want to look at what area of your life these changes are going to play out in, that's what you need to consult your own chart for. But I talk in December 2019, what's it called? Winter is Coming. I talk in that AstroForecast video about Capricorn energy. I talk about the new moon, which happy blessed new moon, happy Boxing Day, you guys. I talk about it in my new moon AstroForecast for the new moon in Capricorn. What is this Capricorn energy? Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn, by the way, Saturn's hosting this summit. We're in karmic territory. Capricorn asks, what are we building? What are our responsibilities to ourselves and others in building that? And by the way, Capricorn's polar opposite is Cancer. And Cancer has to do with sort of the home within our heart. And Capricorn is about the home that we build for ourselves in the world. What is the apparatus in the world that we want to occupy? What is the role or the station in life that we want to occupy, or that we are destined to occupy if we so choose? That's that's Saturn, Capricorn, 10th house energy, okay? Also, it is about, so what are you building for yourself in the world around you? How are you building your career, your reputation, your long-standing relationships, your homestead, your finances, your legacy? How are you working on those things right now? How can you make the best use of the skills and tools that you've gained? Because Capricorn is like, it's the 10th out of 12 signs. So by the time you get to Capricorn on a journey, you've been through 9 houses already, okay? And then Capricorn also wants to ask, how can I overcome, how can I be aware of the restrictions and limitations in my lifetime and, or in this current situation, and how can I overcome them, okay? Restrictions. And a lot of those are dealt to us by society, okay? Like the ridiculous example I came up earlier when I was making these notes was like, let's say you want to build a strip mall. Like that's just been your dream all your life, okay? Let's also say that's 1997 because that was the last time that was a good idea, you guys. All right, anyways, let's say you want to build a strip mall. You can't like put a strip club and a preschool in the same strip mall, okay? It would be a really good idea. It would be really practical use, okay? I'm not anti that idea, but the law says that you can't, Okay, so there have been certain restrictions that are being lifted in your life, okay, as you move forward on your path towards what you're trying to build. Certain restrictions have been lifted, but Sam's going to come in with a new set of restrictions. And if you're a part of this conversation and really understand what's going on in your subconscious, what lessons you've truly learned and can leave behind, then you can have a say in how those restrictions will benefit you. Okay? All right? So the karmic cycles that you're entering into now, that's what they're sitting at the table trying to do. Drop new paperwork, so to speak. All right? About new soul contracts, because a lot of old ones have been closed out. So new soul contracts, new jobs, new roles, new relationships, new patterns, new lifestyles, new systems of self-identity. It's time for new. We're going to drop some new paperwork on that. Okay, you guys? Make it official on the soul level. Okay. So what we need to be doing right now is making sure that we're doing the best to keep, because these contracts depend on the state of your subconscious mind right now. Okay, so which means this is like your attic up here is like your higher self, where you communicate with source, and your basement is your subconscious. Okay, you gotta go down there and clean some things up. There's an inspector coming. We gotta make sure there's no fire hazards. Okay, that's essentially the metaphor that I want to bring to you. Get down in the basement, get down there and do that shadow work. That's what shadow work is. It's getting down into the basement, into the dark parts of your mind. Hi, Freddie. Freddie's decided to jump up on the back of the chair where there's really not room for him, so he's just kind of sitting on me now. Okay, so this is why we do the work. All right, Soul School. We are those who have unchained ourselves from inside of the cave. But sometimes you got to go back in there and reevaluate the stories that we were told when we were in the cave. Okay? We got to reevaluate those. All right? You got to clean out any outdated subconscious thought patterns, which could lead you into the same shit on a different day. Okay? So in other words, if you have only learned your lesson up here, but you're not really truly ready to live a lesson out in life, you're going to get it handed back to you again. You're going to get into a relationship that repeats a cycle you've been in before, or a job or a role that repeats a cycle that you've been in before, and you're going to roll your eyes at it 100,000 times as you try to figure out what is it I need to do differently this time. Sometimes we learn it up here, but we don't learn it in here. Okay? So we got to get in there and clear out the clutter in the basement. All right. So I'm actually going to take this message and here's what's great. I'm going to let you guys know this. The solar eclipse that we had yesterday, yeah, that had an effect on me. It was really cool. And the lunar eclipse that we have coming up on January 10th, just a couple days before this conjunction is exact. Those are sort of portals which are giving you an opportunity to truly access your subconscious mind and understand what's going on there, okay? So this is a really powerful time to be doing your shadow work, okay? Always hit me up for a personal reading if you want any guidance in moving forward on that, because typically when we have meetings, when I do appointments, it's not just a reading. There will be a lot of other intuitive messages and guidance that come along with that. Some just based on my own personal experience and knowledge and expertise, and a lot that's just really channeled, okay? But I'm also, like I said, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to do my all signs bonus reading, and I'm going to let this conference, this summit between Saturn and Pluto be the main theme of the all signs bonus reading, okay? So I'm going to tease that question out a little bit more. If you felt like this was something useful for you, definitely go check that out. It's going to be a big old long reading with a whole bunch of signs in it. I might actually do 2 videos just to kind of like not exhaust myself, because this is the thing I really want to give like my attention and effort to delivering a message, to helping you guys through this negotiation, okay? Because you play a role in this, all right? Those people in the cave They're not invited. You can't get to the negotiation table because it's outside the cave. How do we get outside the cave? You guys say it with me. You got to go within. All right. So it's really exciting times. All right. We're kicking off a whole new year, a whole new decade, a whole new you. And you get to decide where we're headed. Okay. All right, guys, thank you so much for being here with me. Please go ahead and like the video if you liked it. Share, subscribe if you haven't already done that. Thank you so much for being here with me. I think I said that 3 times already. I'm going to go ahead and slide into this intuitive space and get you guys an all signs bonus reading. Okay, take care and Happy New Year to you all.